Good evening, YouTube family. Tio here, Simplistic Fishing, back at you with more lake breakdowns for Lake Texoma. We've gone 1 through 4 on the zones so far on the Google Earth waypoints, and now it's time to jump into Zone 5. So let's go take a look at it. Zone 5 is more on the, I guess I would say, kind of northwestern side of Texoma, I guess I would say. Anyways, let's go jump into it, see what we can find. Here we go. So here we are, Zone 5 for Lake Texoma. Now, if you missed the other zones, we started off with Zone 1, which was actually down here on these yellow icons. Then we went to Zone 2, which are the blue ones. Zone 3, the green part. Zone 4 would be all of the white ones. And now, finally, we have made it over to Zone 5. So we've got 9 total zones to go. So let's jump into 5 today, and we'll cover it and see what we find. And then tune back next time for Zone 6. So as far as the dates, the first thing we want to look at is we want to draw this back to 4 of 2014. So I'm going to go to April of 2014. If I can find it. Of course, it was there a minute ago. We're going to say June of 2014 instead. And that's what we're going to start on. So last time when we were here, we talked about the rocks being in here and fishing around the pillars and things like that. Those are always good areas to fish. But there's also some pretty good rock points that are going on along this bank line. So I marked those for you guys as well. You can see they have pretty good points that come out. Totally different than a lot of the things in the area. You know, you got a lot of dirt and stuff like that, but just a real good rocky area right in here. So I marked each one of those areas for you guys. You can see we got some really good rock to fish around. I would say just fish around that whole entire area until you get to about right in here. So then as we move back in here, I didn't see too much going on back in here. A lot of the same type rock, pretty consistent. But I did want to point out a few things that were back in here. One, there is a ramp that's back here. So you'll see it back here. And then as we move over here, there's another ramp up in here. And then I really liked this point that was over here. I like how this point sets up. Really good rock to fish around. Nice secondary point. Has some docks and stuff in the area as well. You've got another secondary point right in here too. That would be really worth fishing around. And I like how you have a dock there with the rock too. That's really cool. Then moving back in here, there was a little creek channel, but again, it was one of those things where the image just wasn't good enough for me to tell if there was a very good break there or not. You can tell there is a little ditch back there, so that might be worth going back and taking a look at. But other than that, I didn't see too much over there to be worth looking at. But right here, you've got a pretty good concentration of rocks where everything else has been pretty scattered throughout. You've got a really good concentration right in here and right in here. So really just fishing this whole area, say right here around this point, could be a pretty good area to take a look at. So I'm going to keep moving over here. Now it's funny because, again, just like the other Texoma break-ons, there's a lot of area where I just didn't find anything at all. It was just completely bare and blank, no rocks, no stumps, no nothing to really point out to you guys. This is one of those areas. Just wasn't a lot here that would really get me really attracted to this area or make me want to come fish this area. So went through here, didn't find anything, finally came back here after all this dirt and everything, and there's a little area with rock just in this one little spot, which that is always really, really good when you can find spots like that because you know that there's going to be fish there. So right here to right here, you've got this little rock area where there's no other rock around in the whole entire area in the whole entire cove. So definitely a good area to look at right there. There are some tires over here. Right here off this point, if I zoom in here, you'll see it a little bit better. So always fish around the tires. That's good. You got some additional rock right here. So you've got these little isolated piles. You've got one there. You've got one right here off this little secondary point. And then anytime you see these kind of man-made little points that are out here to protect these marinas and stuff like that, you always want to fish around those. Those always seem to be great places to find fish. So then moving down through here, not a lot going on the bank line, but we do have a ramp that's right there. So went ahead and marked that for you guys. And then moving up here, just a lot of nothing. You know, just sand and dirt and sand and dirt. Just not a lot of good stuff going on. So you can see I didn't have any other marks here. And then finally, as I'm coming up here, I noticed this right here and I couldn't tell what it was, but then it looks like it's just maybe where some people went out there and walked around or something like that. So I started getting excited. And then finally, I got up here and looky here, you got some isolated rock piles. You got one here, I've actually got about 4 or 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've marked 3 of them. If you're fishing around those, you're going to see them. Obviously, if you go over there and you scan them, you're going to see them as well. But I can definitely see that being a high percentage area or high percentage spot in this area. Also, the same kind of thing goes here. You got the rock and the dirt, and then finally you've got a little isolated rock pile here as well. So look at that. And then scooting on back up in here, pretty decent little ditch here, but it just didn't look really wide enough to be worthy of really marking for you guys. I didn't put anything there, but there is a pretty good culvert back here that you could fish around. And when I pulled the water up, it looks like that culvert's pretty well under the water. And then right here, you've got some isolated rock as well. So all this dirt and stuff, really nothing going on, but then a really good little rock pile right here, kind of hidden out of the way there. So then moving on up, you come up here and you've got the same type thing going on all of these little points. And they're like little rock ledges that are off the sides of these. So you've got 1 here, 2, 3, 4. I think there's about 5 of them. Yeah. So we got 5 different ones there. So definitely take a look at those. I really like how those set up. And then if you pretty much look from right where that says rock right there, all the way to here, I'm pretty much saying you need to fish around this whole area. All right, so after that, we're going to move over this bridge. Obviously, you want to fish around riprap. Anytime if there's any riprap around this bridge, you'll definitely want to fish around it. It's kind of hard to tell on these images what that is. It doesn't really look like very good riprap, but it could be, and maybe the image just doesn't show it very well. Didn't see too much going on around in here, but there is a pretty good laydown going on right here. And if you'll notice, that laydown is right by a transition area. See how this is rock? Light rock, something like that, and then pretty much it just goes off into this red dirt or the clay or whatever this is. So pretty good transition area there along with the laydown, so that's always good. And then you've got this light rock that comes around in here. It's pretty much all consistent, so I didn't really know whether to mark it or not or just leave it alone. So I kind of left it alone and then just marked like the high spots that I thought you should take a look at. So obviously, the edge of these points you want to always look at. But then right here, you've got these little underwater points, just like we saw on the other side. So I marked each one of these, and you can see the rock gets a lot heavier around these. And you've also got, it looks like it's like a little hump that goes up and then down, and then up and then back down. And I can't tell if that's just Google Earth showing me that, or if those are actually little humps. And if they are little humps, those are money, and you definitely want to go fish around those. So you'll notice I've marked each one of those as we come over here. These all look like really good ledges or like the edges of that rock. So definitely look in this area, see what you can find in this area. I think that will be a very high percentage area for you. You've also got some more rock out here. You've got some more of those little tips that come out here as well. So I marked each one of those. And then you pretty much kind of run out of stuff on the bank line until you get a little bit further down. And then you get into more just laydowns and stuff. So as we get down here, we've got some laydowns here that looked pretty decent. A couple of them in that area as well. As we move further down here, got another one right there. Some of these up here, they look good, but they're just not, when I pulled the water up, they're just not under the water. So it's just not worth marking for you guys. I've also got a ramp here to take a look at. And then a little bit of a rock stretch going from about right here all the way out to about that corner. So if we look at this, there's really 2 different levels. So you've got your riprap that they put up here probably to protect the park and things like that. And then it looks like there's like a shelf, and then there's a whole nother rock line. So fish this outer rock line as well. Don't just get up here and pound the bank, back off a little bit and find that outer rock line and fish around that. You could have some success there as well. And then also over here, the rock totally changes. It kind of goes from mud and dirt to these thicker, chunkier rocks. So basically from right here to right here would be a good area to fish as well. And then as we look back in here, we've got a decent little creek channel that I marked for you guys. You can tell it looks like it's pretty active. It has water in it, even though, at this time, the lake is down really, really far. So if it had water in here this time, that means it's probably pretty active. And so I went ahead and marked the creek channel for you guys here. It looks like it's got enough break that might be worth taking a look at. So go in here and check out this creek channel and just see if they're relating to that at all. I don't see a lot of debris and cover in there, but you never know if there's a lot of oxygen there and things like that. There could be something that they might be able to relate to there that would get them there to stay there. So then moving on over here, coming up, we got a lay down up here coming off this point. I've also got some debris that's over here. These look like old stumps or something. I couldn't really tell what they were. I don't know if they're brush piles or stumps or what, but I just called a lot of them debris. So you got some here, got another pile here, one here, one here, and one here. So there's like what, five of them right there in that one area. And then again, we get back in here, we got that red dirt, clay, whatever you want to call it. But just a lot of nothing going on. And then finally get up in this area, we've got a nice little rocky bank line that's right here. You've also got a little rock pile, an isolated rock pile that's out here. And then a pretty decent looking little ditch that's back here that's got some pretty good breaks on it. And then while you're back there, you might as well go over here and flip around this little laydown and see if there's anything over there as well. So I didn't see anything off the tips of these points, nothing that looked hard, that would look like it'd be worth fishing around. Nothing really stuck out. Now, when I got back up here, you start to see where the rock starts to kind of come in play. So you've got some pretty good rocky point right here. You got another one right in here. And then you've got some more right off of this point as well. And then also, never overlook these secondary points. There's a bunch of them here. And just like what we saw earlier, where we had all those little points that came out that had the rocky edges to them, it's kind of the same thing going on here. So dirt, rock, right? Dirt, rock, more dirt, rocky point, dirt, and then the rocky point again. And then, of course, we keep going. We just keep getting these rocky little points that stick out. So fish around the edges of these where that rock starts, and I think you'll start having some success looking for fish in those areas and actually finding the fish in those areas. Man, I'm having a hard time talking today. Also down here, you got some more rock and some rock here as well. And then as we move down here, same type thing, just point out where that rock starts. So you see the rock starting here. This has got a real decent ledge right here, you can see. So you got the dirt, and then finally it starts getting rocky right out here. So I went ahead and marked that. Pretty decent little underwater point there as well. Come over here, you've definitely got tires to fish. Tires are always great things to fish around, so don't forget to fish around those. Also, you've got a ramp here. You've got some laydowns over here as well, and some additional rocks that are over there, like an isolated rock pile that look like it should be fairly under the water. Maybe not totally submerged all of the time, but I'd say for most of the year, that rock pile should be under the water. You've also got a pile out here as well. This looks more like a brush pile or something, but it was hard to tell because of the Google Earth image that we got from that, but you can definitely tell there's something there. And then as we move further up here, there's some rock off of this point. We go down this bank line, there's some additional rock right here. So it's like we have all these little isolated rock piles, just like we did throughout the rest of the lake. You got a little hump out here, but nothing on it. Nothing really going on back in these coves. There is a creek channel that's back here that looked decent, and you can see there's enough ledge there where it's creating a shadow. So I went ahead and marked that creek channel for you guys so you could see where that was. And then as we move up here, just a couple things to look at. You got a laydown that should be totally submerged typically, so go look over there. And then over here as well, you've got another kind of submerged rock pile that's isolated, just like those other ones. So I'm going to move around this point. Didn't find anything in there, but finally got over here and started seeing a few good things. Some really good laydowns right here. A lot of brush and laydowns right in this little pocket, so I could see that pocket being a pretty good little spot to be fishing. And then as we move up, just seeing a couple other things here. Some really isolated rock going along in this bank line. You got some additional laydowns and brush that really starts from about right here, and it takes you all the way up to the edge of this point right here. So I'm not sure what's going on there, but for whatever reason, there are just a ton of laydowns that are right there in that area. You can see them all. So then I'm going to move on up here. Saw a couple more things up here. There's a laydown here that I marked and a laydown over here to the left that I marked as well. And then I didn't see much going on up here. Looks really, really shallow. You can see where there is a river opening here though. So you could come up here and fish around this river opening and then come up here and get in the river. And then when you get inside the river, I didn't go too far up there, but I did mark a couple things. There's a really good ditch going on right here. So find this juncture and fish right around in this area. If you're up here fishing, I would definitely look right around that area. Look how significant that ditch is. And I don't think I marked anything further up that river. I didn't. I pretty much stayed out of that. So we're going to go from that river and move on down. Now you've got a huge flat up here. I imagine this is probably pretty shallow water. I looked around it to see if I saw anything significant, and I really didn't see much on that flat that really stood out. So I went ahead and just moved down. But there is something going on out here, and I don't know if these are oil platforms or what they are. They kind of look like oil platforms, but I can't tell. Maybe they're not oil platforms or some antennas of some sort. Hell, I have no idea. I've never been here. But anyways, check these out. These are man-made structures, and anytime you have those, especially out here where there's not a lot going on, I could see the fish relating to those definitely. And you got a bunch of them. You got 3, 4, 5, 6. I think 6 different facilities there that you could fish around. So then moving down here, there is a slab that I saw right in here, kind of buried underneath the dirt. Not sure what that was, if that was an old roadbed or what, but definitely take a look at that. You got some debris out here to take a look at, and then also some laydowns that are kind of way out here off the bank line to look around too. So if you were up here, this little area right in here with all of those platforms to be able to go and fish around those, as long as you could get up close to them and fish around them, I think that could be a pretty good area to go look at. So then that pretty much takes us to the end of Zone 5. Zone 5 to me wasn't really like that great of an area, kind of like Zone 4. I wasn't that impressed with it. I would definitely stick to, say, Zones 1 through 3. Those seem like the better areas to fish, but that's just by looking at a map, and we could be missing out. And Zones 4 and 5 could be the money zones. Don't really know. Hopefully we'll have some time in my life to go fish Texoma and learn this lake a little bit more. But hopefully you guys are enjoying these lake breakdowns and getting all the information that you need. If you haven't yet, please hit the subscribe button and make sure you go out to simplisticfish.square.site to get your SD cards or your digital files. You can get all of these different zones for Texoma, as well as all the different waypoints and hotspots for over 20 different lakes that are out there. We continue to add weekly. So until next time, guys, I hope you catch your PB. Take care.